Hey, it's Baz, filmmaker dad and the guy behind 20 Minute Gamer. Today I'm diving into Crysis Remastered on PC via Steam. I actually grabbed this as part of a bundle deal that also included Crysis 2 and Crysis 3 from Good Old Gaming, which felt like a bargain considering their reputation. Now, I've only ever played Crysis 2 and 3 back on the Xbox 360, and I really did love them, especially Crysis 2. It felt cinematic, slick, and a bit underrated compared to its peers at the time. But somehow, I completely skipped the original game. I'd only ever heard jokes about its legendary graphics, the whole "can it run Crysis" meme that became a bit of a benchmark for PC power. So here I am, finally giving the first game a go in its remastered glory. Let's see if it still holds up, not just graphically, but as a game that can still hook a player in 2025. Now, the remastered version I played came out in 2020. It was rebuilt with modern lighting, textures and ray tracing, but still stayed faithful to the original experience. This was Crytek's statement piece, a game designed to make your jaw drop with its visuals while throwing you into an open-ended sandbox of stealth, chaos and sci-fi mystery. And speaking of mystery, story. The story unfolds through a mix of cinematic cutscenes and in-game dialogue. And before I go any further, I just want to say I've slightly changed how I review games. I used to skip cutscenes to maximize my gameplay time, but now I include them because they are such a huge part of the game's opening experience. So you play a part of a US Special Forces unit, the RAF team, deployed to a remote island in the South China Sea. The mission seems straightforward at first: investigate a distress signal from a research team, but as you parachute in, everything goes wrong. You're separated from your squad after a mid-air malfunction, and when you finally regroup, things start to get a bit weird. Some of your teammates are fine and others are not so lucky, ripped apart by something not quite human. It did remind me a lot of the opening of Dino Crisis actually, which is one of my favourite survival horror games. As you make your way through the dense jungle, you discover your experimental nanosuit gives you near superhuman abilities: cloaking, enhanced armour, speed and strength. It's like you're part soldier, part superhero. On top of that, the island is crawling with North Korean soldiers, and there's this mysterious ship lodged in the middle of the jungle, which is straight out of the TV show Lost. It's a strong hook that keeps you intrigued, even if it's not entirely clear what's going on. It's not the most original setup, but it's executed with enough mystery and atmosphere to make you want to keep playing. I was genuinely drawn in, curious to see how the alien and military threads would collide. Score: 7 out of 10. Controls. Mechanically, Crysis mixes traditional first-person shooter controls with the added twist of the Nanosuit abilities. You've got armor mode and cloak mode, which are mapped to Q and E, and they let you switch on the fly between being a tank or being a ghost. It's intuitive, quick to use, and it adds real depth to the combat. But there's one big caveat: movement speed. Now, unless you're sprinting, your character walks at what feels like a snail's pace for a shooter. The sprint function burns through stamina, which is the same pool that's used for your suit's abilities, and this means that you can't move quickly and use stealth effectively. It's a bit of a design contradiction, and I found it frustrating in those opening moments, especially when exploring large areas. Outside of that though, the game handles really well. Shooting feels great, weapons have weight, recoil feels balanced, and the enemies react satisfyingly when hit. You can even customize weapons mid-combat with attachments like silencers and scopes, which feels ahead of its time. Vehicle controls are a little bit floaty but fun, and there's enough variety in combat to keep it interesting. Still, that default movement speed drags the experience down a touch. For a game that's all about power, I wish I could move just a little bit faster without feeling punished for it. Score: 7 out of 10. Atmosphere. Crysis really does nail its atmosphere though. The combination of the nanosuit hood, the lush jungle setting and the ambient lighting creates a real sense of immersion. The hood design itself feels believable. You're looking through the eyes of a super soldier, and the sound design of activating cloak or armor makes you feel like you're slipping into something more powerful, especially with those visual cues. The island feels vast and natural, not like a corridor disguised as an open world, but a living, breathing place where you can lose your bearings in the best possible way. I often found myself wandering off the beaten path, only to stumble on a wreckage or a squad of enemies, and it all felt fairly organic. There's also a subtle horror element too. I did mention it was like Dino Crisis and it has a similar vibe. You'll find the bodies of fallen teammates and the radio chatter starts to get desperate. The tension slowly builds, and even though you're technically the predator here, the island still feels quite hostile, like it's watching you back. The only thing that breaks the immersion is the sluggish walking speed and the floaty physics when jumping. You do feel a little bit like you're on the moon at times. But everything else, from the lighting to the tone to the way the world unfolds, creates an atmosphere that's still impressive today. Score: 9 out of 10. Music and sound. The soundtrack takes a cinematic orchestral approach, which gives the whole thing a bit of a blockbuster feel. It's very Predator meets Michael Bay. The music doesn't constantly blare at you, it rises and falls dynamically depending on what's happening around you, and when it does kick in, it makes you feel like you're starring in an action film rather than just playing one. Weapon sounds are amazing, they're particularly meaty. Pistols, the rifles, and explosions all have a real impact. It's that satisfying, punchy audio that makes even standard firefights feel powerful. Ambient noise is more understated. You get the hum of the jungle, a distant bird call every now and then, and waves breaking on the shore. It's enough to sell the setting without drowning you in sound. The voice acting, meanwhile, is fine. It's competent but cliche. You've got your usual mix of American grunts, sarcastic squad mates, and the token British officer shouting bloody hell every few minutes. It's not bad, just very of its era. Mid-2000s shoot energy all the way. It fits the tone though, and it's hard to fault too much. Score, 8 out of 10. Graphics and style. Even today, Crysis Remastered looks incredible. I pushed it up to Ultra, or as it calls it in the game, Can It Run Crysis mode, and it ran surprisingly smooth on my setup. The game still feels like a visual benchmark. The way the moonlight filters through the trees, the subtle reflections on the water, mist rising through the jungle, it all combined into something genuinely striking. When the sun started to rise near the end of my session, I actually stopped to admire the view for a minute. It's one of those rare moments where you just think, wow, games have really come a long way. There were the occasional frame dips and some NPC faces that looked distinctly early 2000, but those are nitpicks in what's otherwise a stunning presentation. It's not just technically impressive, it's artistically cohesive. Every element supports the illusion of being in this dense, isolated tropical world. Score, 9 out of 10. Gameplay. So gameplay-wise, Crysis is a solid open-ended first-person shooter. You're free to approach objectives however you like, stealth, brute force, or a bit of both. The Nanosuit powers are the real hook. Cloak mode lets you sneak up and silently take out enemies, while armor mode turns you into a bit of a bullet sponge for frontal assaults. Combat feels fluid and rewarding. Weapons feel impactful, though the AI is a little bit hit and miss. No pun intended. Sometimes they're tactical, other times they forget how to take cover. Still, fights are satisfying and surprisingly dynamic. I drove a boat, hijacked a truck, and swapped attachments on the fly, all in the first 20 minutes. That sense of freedom is still impressive today. If anything, I'd say the gameplay loop starts simple and shows its potential later. The alien twist doesn't fully kick in during those first 20 minutes, but the glimpses you get, the strange sounds, and the weird lights in the jungle are enough to make you want to keep going. Score, 6 out of 10. Without a doubt, the standout moment for me was just emerging from the dense jungle into that open clearing just as the sun began to rise. The view stretched on for miles, there was mist rolling across treetops, the golden light cutting through the foliage, and it was pretty jaw-dropping. For a game originally released in 2007, it's still one of the best visual payoffs I have experienced recently.
Put their bodies up bad.
All right, pay your respects and move on. Rendezvous at the landing zone.
What about Aztec, sir? We just gonna leave him hanging here?
Negative. I'm gonna vaporize. We can't allow the Koreans to get their hands on that suit. Stand back.
Damn it. Never get used to that.
So, is this worth playing? Absolutely. While the story isn't groundbreaking and the controls have a few quirks, Crysis Remastered still manages to pull you in with its visuals, atmosphere, and the sheer power fantasy of the Nanosuit. It's a little cheesy, it's a little dated in tone, but it's still definitely fun. If you love shooters with freedom, big open maps, and the feeling of being an unstoppable soldier in a mysterious world, then yeah, it's definitely worth your 20 minutes. Score, 8 out of 10. So what about you? Did you ever try to run Crysis back in the day? Did your PC survive the experience, or are you revisiting it now with the remaster? Let me know what you think of the game's opening in the comments below. And if you're anything like me, you don't have hours and hours to sink into every game. And that's why I test whether a game can hook you in just those first 20 minutes. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
Looks like someone had a little trouble parking their boat.
We seem to have hit a dead end. I've lost our secured channel to JSOC. Too much electrical interference on this island.
Hey, boss! I got something. Topographic map. There's an area highlighted.